The bell over the diner door didn't ring so much as crack like a rifle shot. Cole Riven didn't lift his eyes. 2 decades wearing the crest of the Iron Talons had taught him how to read the weather by sound alone. This wasn't the lazy jingle of a night shift trucker, or the sing-song chime of a regular. This was fear. Fast, thin, cutting. Something small streaked along the counter's shadow, a quick, low blur. Then Cole felt it. Tiny fingers clamping around his boot in the hush under the table. A whisper shivered up from the darkness. Please don't tell him. Across from Cole, Jasper froze with a fry halfway to his mouth. Brick, the biggest of their crew, went still as a stalled train. 5 Talons shifted from laughter to loaded silence without a word. Cole slid his hand beneath the table, a palm, clammy and shaking, pressed against his. Easy, he said, voice calm enough for the room to hear and soft enough for the child to believe. Nobody's saying a thing. Headlights swept the front windows. A black Maserati carved into the lot with a hunter's confidence. The engine purred, went quiet, and the door swung wide. Damien Locke didn't enter rooms. He claimed them. Tall, razor neat. His silver-streaked hair looked as deliberately placed as his money. 2 men shadowed him, earpieces gleaming, hands heavy near their belts. The highway halo went church quiet. Evening, Locke said, voice polished to a boardroom sheen. I'm looking for my daughter, 10 years old, dark hair, frightened. He showed a photo to Dottie behind the counter, then to a couple in the corner. Stepdaughter, he corrected himself, casual as lint. She's confused, not well. I need to get her home. Under the table, the little hand crushed Cole's. A cool, heavy feeling settled in his chest. The words matched the script. The tone didn't. He'd known enough liars to spot the varnish. Locke's searchlight gaze passed over the Talon's table. Been here an hour, Cole said, finally lifting his cup. We've seen coffee. No kids, a bodyguard leaned in to murmur. Locke's jaw flexed. She's sick, he pressed. Without her medication she could fall over dead, right here. Brick rumbled, not bothering to look up. I don't appreciate your tone, Locke said. And I don't appreciate suits stomping through supper, Brick shot back. Cole raised a palm. If a lost kid wanders in, we'll call it in. Good enough? Locke took his measure in a long, controlled breath. Then he set a card on the table. Locke Dynamics gleamed in embossed silver. Grandview Hotel, he said. 10,000 to whoever finds her. And gentlemen, interfering with a parent's rights is a crime. I'd hate for this to grow complicated. The threat hung like smoke. When the Maserati's taillights dissolved into night, the room exhaled. Cole eased his chair back and looked down. 2 brown eyes blinked up at him, wide and watchful. Afraid, yes, but alert. Smart, he's gone, Cole said. She didn't move. Come on out, kid. You're safe for the moment. She slid free like a fox leaving its den. Torn jeans, dust-caked pink backpack. She couldn't have weighed more than 70 pounds, but she stood like a person who'd learned not to wobble. Thanks for lying, she said. Wasn't a lie, Jasper answered, careful. Didn't see you come in. Boots were in the way, a tiny ghost of a smile showed. I'm Mira, she said, and my stepfather wants me dead. She said it the way other kids asked for ice cream. Plain. True. Then she pulled something from the backpack that made Cole's blood go cold. A thumb drive tied with a pink ribbon. A note, blocky and careful in a child's hand, was taped to it. If anything happens, give this to someone brave. Mom outside, thunder rolled the desert awake. Inside, the storm had already started. They gave her hot chocolate without asking. She held the mug for warmth but didn't drink. Her voice was drained flat as she told it. 3 days since the funeral, her mother Elise gone suddenly of a heart issue nobody had ever mentioned. A flash of Damien Locke's smile in the church when everyone else was crying. The room torn apart later. The bruises on her arm. Cole kept his face still and his hands steady. Jasper's eyes flicked to the thumb drive. That mark, he murmured. A sharp, angular L etched into the metal with circuit track filigree. Executive encryption. Only the top floor gets those. How do you know? Brick asked. Because I used to work there, Jasper said, jaw tight. Before Locke bought my division and slaughtered 300 jobs on Christmas Eve. Operational streamlining. Mira looked up, recognition sparking. You're the man with the dragon tattoo, she whispered. Mom had a picture of you. She hid it in her desk. She cried about the people she had to fire. Elise Park, Jasper breathed. She never took his last name, Mira nodded. He hated that, she said softly. Cole's gut made the decision his mouth hadn't caught up to. He tapped the drive with a fingertip. What did your mama say about this? She called it insurance. Mira twisted the ribbon. Said if anything happened, it would explain why. She made me memorize a password. She never told me what was on it, And he knows you have it. I think so, she said. He tore my room apart the night after the funeral. When I asked what he wanted, he said I took something that belonged to him. Brick shoved back from the table, chair legs snarling across tile. Cole cut a look that kept the big man seated. Back office, Cole murmured to Mira. Sofa. Lock on the door. You get the couch. We get the rest. She held his gaze like a person testing a bridge and stepped onto it. Okay, Dottie walked her in, gentle as a lullaby. When the door clicked and Cole pocketed the drive, it felt heavier than steel. The password wasn't for a machine. It was for a daughter. Miraflower 2015 opened everything. Cole expected walls. He got an unlocked vault. Elise had wanted it found. Financial records, shell companies, charity ledgers that looped into offshore accounts, donation funnels that bent into the same pocket, photos, emails, audio. The Locke Foundation, winner of humanitarian awards, was a sieve that strained the poor and fed the rich. 95 cents of every donated dollar washed into havens with sunshine and no questions. The green innovations were built by gray market labor in warehouses that called themselves training centers and functioned like cages. He clicked play on a recording. Damien's voice rolled out cold, cultured, bored. Cut them. Loyalty doesn't move the quarter. If they sue, drown them in paper. Cheaper than compliance. Elise had kept everything. Dates, names, transfers, payoffs. An inspector who signed anything. A city council bought wholesale. A plant voluntarily closed after an environmental review. And the land snatched cheap, flipped fast. Jasper leaned in, face gone white. She was building a case. And he killed her for it, Brick said, no question mark anywhere near his voice. Cole pulled up Elise's journal. Letters to Mira, written like prayers. If you're reading this, my flower, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you myself. Your stepfather is dangerous. I kept records. Please give them to someone brave enough to use them. On the main floor, laughter sparked. Mira learning to polish chrome while Jazz, the chisel-faced rescue pit, crept out to surrender her head into a 10-year-old's lap. The sound lanced Cole through and pinned him to a choice he'd already made. Cops? Rook asked from the doorway. He never talked about the scars on his back, but every line of them had something to say about systems. And watch a billionaire arrive with lawyers and papers, Jasper said. He'll make us look like kidnappers. Then we don't play in his house, Cole said. We fight loud and we fight clean. Information, reputation, paper cuts that bleed. He looked to his brothers, Brick, who had folded up what was left of himself after 2 tours and let the talons unfold him again. Jasper, hollowed out by a corporation and welded back together with grease and pride. Flick, quick hands and quicker heart. Rook, silent and steady. Broken things that learned how to be sharp. For one night, Cole told them, we hold her. Tomorrow we make it hurt. 5 voices agreed without air between them. Aunt May refilled cups in the corner booth while Cole laid the playbook out. 3 soft spots, he said. Public image, supply lines, money men. We hit all 3 at once. Jasper tugged a cap low and a beard lower and walked into Locke Logistics as Miguel, hauling shipments labeled recycled solar panels that turned out to be knockoffs bound for landfills, plus pallets of actual e-waste disguised as charity drives. He filmed wages handed under tables and warnings to keep quiet if you like your job. Rook put on a work vest and his old habit of listening. At the new facility outside Carson Ridge, steel arrived thin. Harnesses didn't arrive at all, and inspection signatures looked suspiciously familiar from Elise's archive. Rook logged everything, then slipped a tip to an inspector who still remembered why his badge mattered. The site shut down at dawn. Cole joined a gym and befriended a PR director named Trevor who liked to hear himself talk. Between bad bench presses and worse bragging, Trevor outlined the Humanitarian of the Year gala planned in Suncrest with a keynote titled, Business as a Force for Good. Cole smiled, spotted him, and memorized passwords he didn't ask for. 2 weeks later, a reporter opened a package full of truth. The story blew ash across the internet. Benevolence or blackmail. Inside Locke's charity. Investors called emergency meetings. Suncrest morning shows learned to pronounce forensic accounting. Back at the Halo, Mira left notes like talismans. Dear Mr. Riven, Aunt May taught me pancakes. I saved a stack for you. Love, Mira. Dear Jasper, Jazz learned shake. Do trucks have dogs? They should. Stay safe. So. Dear Brick, thanks for chess. You said smart people win wars. I'm practicing. Brick pretended not to keep the notes in his vest and read them when no one watched. Flick caught him once. Going soft, he teased. Brick grunted. He smiled anyway. What the Talons didn't plan for was how quickly Damien hit back. The first safe house went up on a Tuesday. Brick had eyes like weather and spotted the black SUVs cresting the dirt road near Flag Ridge. "Move!" he barked, scooping Mira like she weighed nothing while Jazz lunged at his heels. Flick had the bikes running before the door splintered. They shot into desert scrub as flame took the farmhouse behind them. The message was clear: no shelter would be safe. They ran. They doubled back. They used old church basements and trucker lounges and clubhouses that didn't ask questions. They never slept more than a handful of hours in one place. Mira learned to keep a bag ready and a map in her head. She grew thinner and quieter, but not smaller. In downtown Suncrest, Damien Locke watched his phone hemorrhage. Stock sliding, board members whispering, reporters outside the glass. He stood in his penthouse, jaw wired shut by rage. "Find the girl," he told Kate Hart, his head of security, a soldier who'd traded a conscience for contracts, "and remove anyone sheltering her." The hunt sharpened. So did the resistance. They found Mira at the Halo again, crayons worn to nubs, drawing the same picture over and over, a little motorcycle with wings lifting away from a dark square building. "Hey, kid," Cole said, easing into the chair beside her. "You okay? Are we leaving again?" she asked without looking up. "Probably," Cole said. "We're working on—" "You don't have to lie." She lifted her face. The fear was there, careful and contained. "I heard Brick and Flick. They're closer every time." Cole's throat tried to close. "You've got more courage than men I've known who have medals on their chests," he said. "You're 10. You keep going anyway." "I don't feel brave," she whispered. "I miss my mom. I want it done." "Me too," Cole said. "You know why we're doing this?" "I don't know you," she said. "You could hand me to a cop and go back to normal." "Because you thanked strangers for lying to a monster," he said, voice roughened by the simple truth. "Because you scrub floors you don't owe, and you taught a broken dog how to trust. If we can't protect one good kid, what are we even doing on this earth?" Her arms were around his neck before he finished. She shook finally, and he let her. Aunt May burst in, phone white-knuckled. "Sheriff's office," she said. "SUVs, 8 of them. 10 minutes." Engines snarled awake outside. Helmets snapped. Jazz leapt into Brick's sidecar. The Talons rolled not to flee, but to finish. "Watches," Cole said on the radio. "On my count." "Copy," came 4 replies and one small voice. "Copy." The SUVs circled the diner like wolves. Cade strode in first, carrying expensive menace. 5 bikers sat at the counter. "Too calm. We know the girl is here," Cade said. "Mr. Locke wants her safe. Family matter." Cole turned a page of the newspaper he wasn't reading. "Family usually sends cupcakes," he said. "Not tactical teams." Cade slammed a hand on the table. "Where is she?" "Who?" Cole asked. That's when Cade noticed it. Every Talon checked a watch at the same second. 3. Brick counted softly. 2. 1. 200 miles away, in the chandeliered ballroom of the Solace Grand, cameras flashed and glasses chimed. Damien Locke stepped to a podium beneath a 10-foot screen. "Thank you," he said, smile lacquered and perfect. "Tonight is about—" The screen blinked. The lights didn't dim so much as surrender. Elise Park filled the frame, hair pulled back, eyes steady. The timestamp read 2 weeks before her death. "My name is Elise Park," she said, and 100 throats forgot how to swallow. "If you're seeing this, my husband intends to kill me." Chaos had a sound. It rose now. Gasps, shouts, phones snapping awake. The video rolled on. Ledgers, transfers, offshore accounts. Grainy photos of warehouses where children sorted waste without masks. Audio of mayors carving out approvals in exchange for donations. Damien's own voice dismissing human life as a line item. Then Cole's voice, even and unhurried, rode the speakers into every ear in the room. "Damien Locke, you built your fortune on wreckage. You bribed, bled, and buried. When your wife tried to stop you, you made sure she couldn't. You turned your stepdaughter into prey. The people you stepped on are done lying down. We are not your employees. We are not your fear. We are the road, and the road keeps its own." The last frame was simple white text on black. "The road belongs to the honest." In the ballroom, badges went from pocket to hand. A securities investigator started dialing. The police chief, who'd come for the photo op, walked toward the stage with cuffs. At the Halo, Cade's phone lit up with the same nightmare. Trading halted. Board resigns. Federal probe announced. He stared at the screen like it had turned into a mirror. "It's over," Cole said, standing. "By sunup your boss will be broke, famous, and very busy with the justice system. The girl you want? She's somewhere you'll never find." Cade looked at his men, looked at his phone. He knew a losing field when he saw scorched earth. "Stand down," he said and walked out. "Where is she?" Brick asked as the last taillight vanished. Cole's grin was a knife sheathed in relief. "Exactly where we told you," he said. "Safe. Snow on the pines, an old TV humming, 2 talons flanking a kid on a sagging couch. That's how Mira watched Damien Locke led away in cuffs." Her face cracked open with quiet tears that weren't terror. "Can I go home now?" she asked into the space between commercials. "Yeah," Rook said gently. "We'll take you home." 6 weeks later, sunlight poured through new panes in the Talons clubhouse. Desert sunset paint warmed the walls, because a 10-year-old said the color felt like a hug. One full side had become a gallery, crayon motorcycles with wings, angels on choppers, a little girl holding hands with 5 men who'd learned what the word guardian means. Jazz snored in a bed that said, Queen, in glitter. Mira had picked it out and declared it non-negotiable. Brick nudged Cole in the garage. "You sure about this?" "I promised," Cole said, face half-lit by welding sparks. They rolled it out when Aunt May led Mira in. A miniature motorcycle built to be ridden, not looked at. Silver frame, purple flames because Elise loved purple. The engine purred, governed and safe, but real. Every bolt torqued twice and then once more for luck. Mira touched the seat like it might evaporate. A small bell on the handlebars chimed. "Read the tank," Jasper said, nowhere near tears. In script like rainfall, silver feathers. "After your picture," Cole said. "The one with wings. Can I ride it?" Mira asked. "That's the plan," Brick said, producing a helmet painted to match. Inside were 5 signatures. Cole, Brick, Jasper, Rook, Flick. "We're always riding with you," Flick said, pretending not to choke on it. In the empty lot, she circled once, wobbly, twice less so. The 3rd time she lifted one hand to wave and the Talons cheered like a stadium. Brick swore it was allergies. No one argued. That night, Jasper opened a laptop. 700,000, he said. Donations. People heard what happened. They want to help. Help what? Mira asked from the couch, Jazz using her lap as a pillow. "That's up to us," Cole said. "Up to you." Mira thought like someone who'd been forced to. "There are other kids like me," she said. "Scared kids. Kids who need a place to breathe and people with kind eyes." Jasper nodded slowly. "A foundation. For at-risk youth," Flick added. "Shelter, food, skills," Brick said. "Work that makes you stand tall. School help," Rook murmured. "And someone to call when the world goes sideways." Mira smiled. "Name it after my bike." They filed the papers within the week. Silver Feathers Foundation. The mission statement was part lawyer, part 10-year-old. Give wings to the grounded. Mira became honorary founder and treated it like a job. She helped pick the logo, a motorcycle with wings stretched wide. She interviewed staff. "Do you actually like kids?" she asked one applicant. "Or are you just practiced at smiling?" Anyone who patronized her never made it to round 2. The first teen they helped had aged out of foster care with a plastic duffel and nowhere to sleep. Jasper hired him as an apprentice and taught him to listen to engines and people. Then a girl running from fists. Then 2 brothers whose parents were gone behind bars. Slowly, a clubhouse split its heart. Half chrome and gasoline. Half classrooms and a buzzing kitchen where Aunt May taught knife skills and second chances. The wall of drawings grew until every inch wore wings. "You built something good," Brick said one evening, watching Mira show a smaller kid how to clean a chain without losing fingers. "She did," Cole said. "We just held the ladder." Spring painted the desert with wildflowers and forgiveness. 8 months after the night under the table, the Talons prepped for their memorial ride. This time they weren't riding alone. Mira had outgrown the purple jacket sleeves, and her helmet needed new padding. Freckles dashed bravery across her nose. She adjusted her chin strap with practiced hands. "Ready?" Cole asked, checking Silver Feather's top to bottom. "Born ready," she grinned, swiping their swagger because she could. They rolled out, a thunder of engines and one silver hum, past the halo where Dottie waved a towel like a flag, through towns that had learned the Talons weren't trouble but remedy. Somewhere on the highway they pulled off for snow cones. Blue raspberry for Mira, obviously. Flick showed her a photo on his phone. A man in orange, wrists cuffed, jaw clenched. "Do you feel bad for him?" Flick asked carefully. Mira considered in that sincere way she had. "I feel sorry for whoever he could have been," she said finally. "Mom said he wasn't always mean. Something broke, and he let it stay broken. I'm glad he can't hurt anyone." Flick squeezed her shoulder and found he didn't need words. The ride ended at an overlook where sky and road shook hands. Flowers bloomed in a ring around a bronze plaque they'd placed with patient permits and a fierce sense of right. Elise Park, mother, witness, hero. She gave everything so others could be free. Mira knelt, set wildflowers, purple and gold, beside the metal, and spoke softly. I brought my friends, she said. We did what you asked. We stopped him. And we're helping kids now. Like me. She stood with wet eyes and a confident smile. Can we ride it out? All of us? That's the plan, Cole said. They formed a line, 15 bikes and one with wings, and rolled into a horizon dressed in molten orange. The wind caught Mira's hair. Her laughter rose pure as a bell, and silver feathers carried her forward. She wasn't hiding. She was flying. Cole glanced in his mirror and saw the truth that would outlive him. A frightened child had walked into their night and taught a crew of hard men what mercy looks like when it shows up with a steel spine. They hadn't set out to topple a titan. They'd set out to do one small good thing. It turned out, sometimes that's how empires fall. 3 years later, the Lock Dynamics complex sat hollow on the edge of Suncrest, glass spiderwebbed. Weeds writing their own language through the concrete. Scavengers had stripped copper and pride. What remained was a message someone repainted whenever sun and time tried to fade it. 10-foot letters in chrome silver with violet flames. The road belongs to the honest. Below it, smaller, steady, impossible to miss. Silver Feathers Foundation, giving flight to the grounded people driving past, slowed. Some honked, some cried, most remembered. They remembered a little girl brave enough to crawl under a stranger's table. They remembered bikers who chose to be guardians. They remembered a mother who documented the truth, even when the truth cost everything. They remembered that fortunes built on lies collapse under the weight of one clear voice. And somewhere in the desert, a silver motor with purple flames purred to life. And a young rider with kind eyes pulled on a helmet inked with 5 signatures and 100 promises. The road, as always, kept its own.